Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm Tim Laskus, and you're listening to The Tim Laskus Show. This is episode 83 with Micky Dymond. This is part 2 of 2. Part 1 was fantastic. So if you didn't listen to it, go back now and turn it on. Listen to that one, then come back. Because in this one, Micky starts us out with sharing his thoughts and his feelings after being let go by Team Honda. Also, something very cool that Roger DeCoster did that he will never forget. Then Micky leads us into some dark moments that he went through in life after racing was over, and he lays it out there. It's raw, it's real, and he just puts it out there. But he also talks about how he picked himself back up and he got back into racing again, and he discusses these Race Across America events that he does, which are so much fun. This year he competed in 2017 with teammates Jeff Ward, David Bailey, and Doug Henry. Also, he tells you about a wonderful organization that he supports, the Road to Recovery, and his new book, The Legends of the Road. So sit back and enjoy.
The Tim Laskus Show, in search of entrepreneurial gold. Tim digs deep into the minds of his guests, entertaining, down to earth, and informative. Now, here's your host, Tim Laskus.
So, did you feel that, okay, Honda, provided me all of the tools that I needed to win. I did perform. I won the ultimate goal, which was the championship. Did you ever feel like, they just maybe did you wrong? I mean, now I know you're talking about, well, I could have done better in different races. I didn't, win as much, or I could have done more. But at the time, I'm sure you were thinking that, well, how could Honda do this to me?
Yeah, I got my feelings hurt.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. That was I felt like I was close to, I'm a rider. I think I would have been a great, second team member. And, I wanted to win too. So, I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think because the AMA made a rule that I couldn't ride a 125 any longer, it became like a business thing for them where, well, we got Rick Johnson and he's proven, he's won, he's the champion. We don't really need another 250 guy, but we need a 125 guy, and now he can't ride one. And in a sense, that was coming, but I don't, what really kind of stung was that nobody was going to tell me I didn't have a deal till I, but kind of let me run out of time to find a good deal. But that didn't happen either, because Roger, and I'm sure that the guys that really cared let me know, said, hey, they're not going to do anything for you, I don't think. And so go somewhere else. And so I did get a heads up, and there are good people out there and look out for you. And there's some that they just look out for themselves, and that's life. But, I got a little bit of a heads up and was able to go somewhere else, but still, it had a big, the more time that goes by, the more I realize what kind of person I am, how I acted back then, what affected me, and what affected my everyday living, my attitude. And I wore my heart on my sleeve. I had the world at my fingertips at certain times, but it also put me in a really vulnerable place. So when something didn't go my way, I reacted as, like somebody that was rejected, or I felt those feelings. And in hindsight, I wish I could have been more prepared as a person, but how are you going to be prepared until that happens to you?
Yeah,
Um,
it's very difficult, but it's life is a learning lesson. As we go through life, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, and as we go through, we all have lessons to learn. And it sounds like you looking back, you've learned a lot about yourself. And I was reading an interview that I don't know if it was Racer X or somewhere else that you had talked about. You were doing some videos. Well, right after Honda, you went and I think you rode for Yamaha for a while. Then later on, you were doing some like Crusty Demons of Dirt maybe videos, and you had made a statement that I didn't really know what you meant, but you said there was a period of about 5 to 6 years that was really dark for you. What did you mean by that?
Oh, I had to transition into retirement from racing, and I went from a life where I had freedoms to do what I wanted and ride a motorcycle for a living, and I was good at something, and I should have been still doing it. I went into other things and was starting from scratch and had too much time on my hands, and I dabbled in typical, life's temptations with just not respecting and caring about yourself, and I overdid it on a bunch of different things, and became I'm like, okay, I wasn't looking up, and let myself go. Used alcohol and chemicals to participate in, I don't know, distractions, I guess I could call them. But in hindsight, it was just wasted years of not really having a focus. I appreciate in life, and that might be the term. The term I might have used at that time was like, it was a dark period of my life. It was I don't know, a lost soul, like looking for something to do, and anyway.
But on the bright side, you had mentioned something about your father being there for you, and your father was an important part of your life. Can you talk about your father and what kind of role did he play in your life?
Well, I was really lucky that I have great parents. I have good friends. My siblings are all supportive, and we're just. I'm just very lucky that I had all that, because I had a backstop to get too far off track. I mean, I got off track, but to come back, I had just an open door to. All I had to do was just walk through it, and I had support. And with that, even to today, I have a unprejudiced group of family and friends that, in a sense, I just had like a safety net at all times.
Well, I think that's wonderful, because a lot of people don't have that, and that you had that. And it sounds like they were there with open arms when you were ready to go back to them and ask for help.
Yeah. I never strayed too far, and I didn't burn so many bridges. I think people around me were more like, man, that dude's kind of messed up right now. But I wasn't, I don't know, my moral compass kind of stayed pretty much intact, even when I was way off. And for that, don't get me wrong. There's a few people who'd be like, man, that dude's, I'm just like, wish him the best. I want to see him again, but wish him the best. But the rest of it kind of came back around, and, you have a past, but I learned through a lot of situations in my life that I ain't my past. I have it. I can use it, and I can reflect on it, but I just have it, but I'm not it anymore. I can go into whatever I want to go into now. And my my faith in God and my faith in myself and my faith in the right and wrong things in life are more strong now than ever. So if I mess up now, I am totally aware of it. I totally have to process it and be the judge and jury of myself. So
I think what you just mentioned something earlier about, you're not your past. And I think that's so powerful for the listeners out there. So many people get caught up in shame or, just feeling like, oh, my past is going to follow me forever and that's going to form my future. And it was so powerful for you to say that your past is not your future. Basically, your future is what you do today, not what happened yesterday.
Yeah. There's this thing that I've been doing on the bicycle. I'm able to do these ultra endurance races and get to a place that most people just don't understand. Like, why would you want to ride your bike till you're dying and you're hurting, you're suffering, and why would you want to do that to yourself? And there's a place out there in your mind that you can be in all those places at the same time. I can be in my past, I can be in my present, I can see my future. I have a voice that is not really mine, but it's mine. And it's the one that's like, what is that voice? Is all those things that I'm, I don't know, the place that I need to be to keep growing as a man. Those things all come from in there, from that voice, and that's something that I'm addicted to now. So these big events that I've been doing, that has a lot to do with it. There's many other great things that come out of it, but
that makes total sense about why you're doing that. And just to kind of bring it to the listeners, you're talking about that race across America that you've been doing. You've competed in it twice, and it consists of a 4-man team. You first did it in 2014, and then you did it this year as part of a team with you and David Bailey, Doug Henry, and Jeff Ford. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so let's kind of talk about this year's event. You did it in 2014. Did that help prepare you? Either, did you know physically, okay, this is what I need to do better, and maybe even mentally, this is how I need to get ready for 2017? What was it like for you this year?
They were both very different, but they were much the same. And anybody that's done this race would understand that. But I mean, to try to explain it in detail is very difficult if you're not familiar with the race. And if you've not done something like it, it is truly one of the most physically and mentally demanding events that exists on our planet. And it is not big or the biggest. It's like, well, it is the biggest, but it is so much bigger than you think it is. And to think about riding a bicycle from one side of the country to the other at your limit is kind of crazy, to drive in the car is like a big adventure. It's a big undertaking and a commitment to get across.
Yeah.
To do it on a bicycle is a whole other story. I've done this race twice now in 4-person team. The first time with Ben Bostrom, Dave Mara, and Dave Zabriskie, and a cyclist, and I was the low guy on the totem pole as far as talent and ability, and I was the late guy, the late comer, and it was very hard, and but it was also just like so amazing and rewarding in the end. These are other things that you learn during this event that you're going to have like highs and lows, like the kind of lows like where you want to just crawl in a hole and die, and the kind of highs like standing on, Mount Everest,
I can only imagine. I mean, it's, you're going without sleep. You're pushing your body physically and mentally to its limits. I mean, it is just, I don't think anybody can fully appreciate it unless they've been in your shoes, Mickey, and have done this. And I'm sure at the end of the race, when you guys finished, what was were you overwhelmed, you and the rest of the team, just overwhelmed with emotion?
Yeah, you are. You burn through so many different emotions throughout that. This year, me, David, Doug, and Wardy, we did it in like 7 days, 7+ days, and with David and Doug sharing the emotions even on the way.
Wow.
That had actually been the first solo hand cyclist ever to finish. And we passed him somewhere in Virginia on a highway, and we stopped and all got out of the car and let him come by us and cheered for him. And you're just tears in your eyes. Just, you can't believe that the extent of what a person can achieve, and it like, just physically it's like overwhelming, but when you add what happens to your thoughts and your heart when you're doing it, to witness it in that moment, it's emotional. I don't think we didn't have, all four of us didn't have many words at the finish. We looked at each other, and you share something that's, man, it's like, I'm sure that like in other situations in life, like in the war situation, or when people have to come together and they rely on each other like that, and they would die for each other. It's some bond that gets developed within you, and then it stays there. I have it with some people in life that there are special moments that make life like magical again, and make you feel humbled and so grateful to be able to do it, to have the means to do it, and I love what we did this year, because in a way, just spending the time with, David and I we broke into two teams of two, and we all rode together at certain times, but David and I spent the most time together, and then Wardy and Doug spent the most time together. We ended up leapfrogging or double shifting so we could rotate in 3 riders at a time instead of 2, and so I got to ride and be with everybody. And it's really, I have to say, like, you learn stuff about people that you kind of already felt, but it's obvious, and it's confirming. And like with Wardy, I've known Wardy for all my race career. And even when I didn't know him, I knew him, and I watched him. But he's done stuff on a daily basis when I'm with him that confirms that this guy is an awesome guy. And it grows through time. Like, okay, I liked him. He's a winner, and he was a great rider and all that, but that's really like a small matter compared to like what kind of person that he is. And then that folds over. Same for Doug, same for David. Like, those people are easy to view in life because they're in the, they're on TV and they're winning races, and you see them and the way they are as people kind of like makes you feel good. Like, man, I like that guy. That guy's, and his ride's so beautiful, and he's so determined, and he just never quits. And you know, Doug's that way. Like, man, it's just. But after all that stuff, when you wake up and you get a text and he sends me a text, hey, sunshine, let's go have a coffee. And then you go do that, and time slows down a bit. And
well, it sounds like it was a spiritual moment for you. I mean, into yourself, into mankind, your fellow. I was, you talked about a combat experience, and I was kind of thinking of that. It's like a brotherhood that's been formed, between all of you. You have this bond that nobody can break now.
Yeah. And, I plan to do solo next year. And even if I don't see those guys from the start to the finish, I mean, they will be with me, and all of them. And just go back to the other team, with Ben. We broke into two teams then as well, Ben and I, and then the two Dades. And luckily, I wrote a book that's called The Legends of the Road, and it covers the whole 2014 race, as well as build-ups and all the details that go in it, the crew that's involved, and all the logistics, and then from the start to the finish, the highs and lows and the drama, from my perspective. And knowing those guys, I think you get an idea of who they are through what I'm talking about. And we did an extremely difficult race and had a very close race to the end with another team. Well, two other teams, but the book covers the whole race. And then right after that race, I had to pretty much go to the banquet and then fly the next day to Pikes Peak, where I raced Pikes Peak on a motorcycle right after the Ram. And it was really a difficult thing to do, because there's nothing more, I don't know, you're a mess of a person after Ram, and you need time to recover.
Sure.
Yeah, so going into the next race was a little bit early.
And so in your book, so you detail what it was like for you to kind of cover both of these events, I'm sure mentally and physically, and what it was like and what was going on with you.
Yeah. The book really goes into a lot of that, dealing with and pushing beyond your limits. And you meet them a lot during that race. I had some issues, and I got a chest infection and lung infection, and was just really struggling. I had to get into a shift. We did like a 5-hour shift. Ben and I would ride for 5 hours. The Daves would ride for 5 hours, and it was difficult to come back after you rode, and we would time trial. So we would be doing like 15 or 18 minutes each, and leapfrogging, like baton tossing them, like onto the next guy. But you would ride your heart out for 15 minutes, and we were trying to just keep a pace of like 25 miles an hour. Whenever we were on anything flat, we had other milestones to try to meet on climbing and descending, and we had a really fast race. We did just right at 23 miles an hour, like 22.9 mile per hour pace, average speed for the entire race. We did the race in 5 days, 11 hours, and 41 minutes.
Whoa!
And I was beyond any type of physical, like just ruin that I've ever been in. And then I went and flew to Pikes Peak, and that's sort of a sleep deprived and difficult race to do as well. It is early mornings. You're riding on the hill. You're up on the hill at 3:30 in the morning, and riding until 9 a.m. and then heading down the hill and trying to do other things during the day, and then get some sleep and do the same.
Wow, and that's also a dangerous event. People
there.
lost their lives on doing the Pikes Peak.
Yeah. And in fact, like in that particular year, 2014, a rider was killed at the top before my run, and they had to rerun like 6 different riders. They had to red flag it and send people back to the start line. So there was a delay before my start of like almost an hour because of that. And it just really is a different race. It's an amazing race. It's an amazing thing to go fast on that road and to race the clock. But it's a dangerous one. So you really have to, you can't really ride there at your limit and try to go fast and try to get a record without taking, without risking everything. You can't crash there in a lot of places. You can't. If you do, you're kind of screwed. So
you're gone. Wow. So it really is you're risking your life in order to make that record, and it's definitely not a place you want to be when you're sleep deprived and already kind of physically and mentally beat down. But you did it. It's most people in the world. You're probably you might even be the only person in the world that's done it in that order, to do the race across America, 3,000 miles, then head on up to Pikes Peak and do that, which is just incredible. And I think it's just wonderful, all the things that you've done. You've really, had a tremendous, life, and you've inspired so many people, and I'm sure more people than you even know, throughout your career and the things that you've done. You have your book, and it's called The Legends of the Road. Is that correct?
Yes. And you can go get this in a printed, like a paperback version or Kindle version on Amazon. It's on there now. I had to also in this post Ram and Pikes Peak write a book, which was new. I have a great guy that helped me edit, Vic Armeo, and he really did awesome to keep my voice. I didn't lose any of my voice, and he cleaned it up quite a bit. There was quite a few red marks in it that he had to deal with. And he's great, and I'm going to keep doing more and hopefully have a lifetime relationship with Vic. The additional things I've had to learn to self-publish have been really difficult for me. I'm not that guy, that can just hop on a computer and just pick it up and know how to work with different formats. And it's just very difficult work, and I'm glad I had to do it by myself so I can do more now. And anyway,
it was
still
a challenge
work in progress
that you overcame, and just like everything that you've done, you've put yourself in positions to overcome obstacles and challenges, and you've done more than most people could even imagine. And writing a book is incredibly difficult, and it requires many different skill sets. It's very, very hard, and you've done that. And the book's called The Legends of the Road, and you also support an organization called Road to Recovery. And tell the listeners just a little bit about that before we go.
Okay, well, Road to Recovery came in after this new team got developed with David and myself and Doug Henry and Wardy came in, and we, more or less, David and I hadn't even really talked about getting Legends into it, but we did, and finally decided, okay, we're gonna revisit the Legends team, and I developed a company from the first time around, and it had just been sitting. I didn't know what to do with it. Dave Mera had passed away, so the original team kind of didn't have any plans to go another one, at least not yet. Maybe in the future, to get Bostrom and Zabriskie back would be awesome. But anyway, that's when Road to Recovery came in and said, "Hey, we love what you're doing, David, and we would love to be a part of it." And pretty much Jimmy Button from Road to Recovery came in and kind of saved the day in a lot of ways. It was a lot of money to be raised. A lot of different things needed to be done with David and Doug, as well as me and Morty. It was like kind of a blessing that they came in and kind of backstopped a lot of the financials and helped us raise money. We started raising money for a great cause, which was injured motorcycle riders, like David, Doug. At the time, it was like perfect, perfect alignment. Mm-hmm. We can do something for those riders that, have had life-altering accidents that need help and will continue to need help. And so it couldn't have been a better fit, for us this year to do that. I'm in the process of just wanting to do more. I want to do solo next year, and the Road to Recovery and the Legends of the Road should stay together and keep doing this. And right now it looks like that's going to come together, and we're going to be doing this every year for a while. May not always be Race Across America, may be some other project, but I want to keep the Legends and the Road together with them, and always be able to work on something that we can make a difference for injured riders in our sport and in others. They're growing. They're a pretty big organization now, and
yeah, there's nothing. I just can't.
You can go to
anything else that's more important, than helping these guys who have lifelong injuries. Jesse Nelson has, recently, had his injury, and he's going to be, having to deal with that. And so, for you to be able to support Road to Recovery, and I encourage all the listeners out there to support Road to Recovery. And
yeah, and absolutely. It's and I'm working right now. I need to kind of learn to become a businessman a little bit. But I want to do more with them and with other things that are more outreaching to the people that need that, And there's people that just are lost a little bit, and they just need a little shove or a little spark, and it could make a difference,
You're doing fantastic things out there, Micky, and you're an inspiration again to so many people. And so I encourage everyone to go out there, support Road to Recovery. Also, go out and buy a book. I'm going to buy Micky's book, The Legends of the Road. You can find it on Amazon. And before we go, Micky, you've just been fantastic. Where on social media can people follow you?
I have a Instagram and a Twitter. I kind of have a Facebook too. It's just my name. It's at Micky Dymond. It's MICKYDYMOND. And I try to go on there and be a good guy and post every day, but
Well, I know how that is. You kind of ebb and flow. Yeah, you get sick of it after a while, then you jump back on. But hey, Micky, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. This has just been fantastic. It's an honor to have you on the show, and I look forward to seeing what you do next year on 2018 for the Race Across America and any other crazy races that you're doing. Again, keep it up, and we love you, man. And take care, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Want more entrepreneurial tips? Go to timlaskas.com.